Okay, so this is the first video for semester 2. And if you guys remember back to semester 1 at the very end, we did actually start a new unit where we started talking about polynomials. So I wanted to spend this video just kind of recapping the stuff that we covered right at the end of last semester. So on the screen right now, I already wrote down some of the terminology that I want to make sure you guys remember. First one being monomial. The prefix mono means one. So monomial means one term. Okay, such as like 3x. Means like it has like one chunk to it. Okay, binomial means two terms or two chunks. So the example there is 2x squared minus 5. Okay, and if you need to pause the video, you can always pause the video and write these down and press play again. And then trinomial, that means three terms, such as like 5x squared minus 4x plus 6. It has three pieces to it. And then we found out that anything after three terms, we just refer to it as a polynomial, whether it has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different terms, whatever it is. After 3, we just refer to it as a polynomial. Poly means many, okay? And that was the terminology that we kind of went through right at the end of last semester. We also then went into how do we add and subtract two different polynomials. Okay, so let me briefly recap that real quick. So this is for adding and subtracting. Okay, and essentially it's almost like they're the same thing. Adding and subtracting polynomials is essentially the same thing as like combining like terms. Because that's realistically that's all we're doing. Okay, so combine like terms. Okay, you just have to be a little bit careful when it's a subtraction question. If it's adding, we can just jump right in. If it's a subtracting, we gotta do a little bit of work ahead of time. So that's the example I want to go through. So let's say we have these two polynomials. So first one is 5x squared minus 3x plus 1. And we're going to subtract 2x minus 6. So essentially we're taking a trinomial, three terms, and we're subtracting a binomial, two terms. Okay? Like I said, essentially this is combining like terms. If this was a plus sign in here, you wouldn't have to do any kind of work ahead of time. You just start combining like terms. X squareds go with x squareds, x's go with x's, and numbers go with numbers. The catch in this one is when there's subtraction involved, you do have to apply this to everything that comes after it in that parentheses. So we don't have positive 2x, we actually have negative 2x because we apply the negative to it. Sitting with the negative 6, we don't actually have negative 6. When you apply the negative to it, two negatives make a positive. So it's actually plus 6. Okay? And then now we can go through and we can combine like terms. Remember, I would always start off with the highest exponent and then work your way down. So the highest exponent up here is the x squareds. Okay? And if you notice, we only have one x squared term up there. There's no other x squareds. So the 5x squared is by itself. Then go down the line after x squared to go x's. Okay, so we have negative 3 right there. And again, we changed it, so we have negative 2 right there. If it helps you to kind of stay organized, after you've changed these, cross them out so you don't kind of confuse yourself. Okay, so negative 3 and negative 2, when you combine them, negative 3 minus 2 gives you negative 5x. And then numbers should always go last. So I have a positive 1 and a positive 6, which gives you a positive 7. And then you're done. Okay? So that's all you have to do when it comes to adding and subtracting. The adding questions are even easier because you don't have to, distributing a plus sign doesn't change anything. So you can kind of skip that first step. Okay? But that's how you combine polynomials with adding and subtracting. With multiplication, it's a little bit different. You scroll down, and it kind of depends on what kind of polynomials you have. Okay, so for multiplying, and I'm not going to include division in here because that's actually a part of a more advanced class. I think you first see dividing polynomials probably either in Algebra 2, I think, or maybe the end of Algebra 1, okay? So when you are multiplying polynomials, it depends on what you're multiplying. So for example, this one's kind of an easy one because we've done it before. 3x times 2x minus 5. And I'd say this is easy because all this is a single distribution. Right? We're taking this and we're multiplying it to both terms. Okay? So the first one, 3x times 2x, where numbers go numbers multiply with numbers, x's multiply with x's. So 3 times 2 gives you 6, and then x squared times x squared gives you, x times x gives you x squared. And then for the second one, 3x times negative 5, well, 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, and then there was an x, so you just got to throw that on the end. And then we'd be done. Okay, so something like that is pretty easy. It gets a little more challenging when you have more than just a monomial in there. So let's do one of those. Let's say you had to multiply 2x plus 1 times 8x minus 3. Okay? Now, I refer to these as a double distribution because I think that's a nice visual way to see it. So what I mean by that is the first distribution, you're taking this first piece and you're multiplying it out. Okay? So first one, 2x times 8x. Well, 2 times 8 is 16. And again, x times x gives you x squared. And the second one, 2x times negative 3. So 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And there was an x. So that's the first distribution. And the second distribution comes from here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply it to both pieces. Okay? 1 times 8x is just 8x. And 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Now we're almost done. We just have to double check if there's anything that we're allowed to combine, any like terms in here, which in this case we do. Right? We can combine these x terms together. So negative 6x and positive 8x, when you combine them, give you 2x. And then just bring the other pieces down. The negative 3 is by itself, and the x squareds are by itself. And then you're done. There's nothing else we can combine. Because x squareds and x's do not go together. Okay, so that's how you approach it when it's a multiplication question.